Card Games TV1 podcast. So, main game one, the importance of game one, or the game one logic. So, the importance of what you should be doing game one. Something I notice a lot of players don't do is have some cards that you normally would side in game two. Like board breaking cards like Gamecill, Kaijus and stuff like that, right? Sphere mode, evenly match, things of that nature. Even like some hand traps or even floodgates. It's always a good idea to have couple of cards. Couple of the cards you normally would have in your side deck. Main deck it, when you're playing competitively. When you're playing casually, do whatever you want. But when you're playing competitively, game one is very important. Very, very important. You need to win game one. Or at least understand that game one, you're supposed to use game one as a way to learn the strengths and weaknesses of your opponent's deck. And ideally, it'll be hard for you to know the strength and the weakness of your opponent's deck if you don't know what your opponent's deck does, because this is probably the first time you played against your opponent. You don't know how they play, you don't know what they're playing, and then you lose because of the element of surprise, because you don't know, right? And people like to know. So to mitigate and to reduce surprises, to reduce even just as a mind game strategy, just starting game one with some of your side deck cards, right? Cards you normally would have in your side deck, but you main deck them instead, right? Like maybe 3 Gamecills and maybe your one of Skill Drain or something, or maybe evenly match, right? So even if you end up going first and you have evenly match, who cares? It's game one, so it doesn't matter if you go first or second, and you have going first cards or not going first cards. That doesn't matter, right? Because game two and game three is where, all the going second, going first thing matters. Game one doesn't matter, because game one you don't know. You don't know who's going first. You don't know if you're going first or your opponent's going first. So for all that, have your deck technically be half going first or going second, because you don't know if you're going first or second game one. So build your deck to be balanced. Then shift it towards going second or going first in game 2 and 3, once you get to side deck. Now, I'm against the whole idea of side decking, but because side deck is a thing, I have to point that out, that game 1, your deck should be balanced. It should be able to go first or second. Game 2 or 3 is when you do the side deck thing and you switch to going second or going first, based off of what you're siding. So with that logic, right, game 1, like I said, you should definitely have some, kaijus, for example. They won't take up too much space. And something I notice a lot is that somebody will have a deck that has like an engine and it goes off, especially if it doesn't need to normal summon, but for some reason it doesn't main deck like Lava Golem or Spear Mode or something like that. It's like, it's kind of weird you don't play that, even though you don't need your normal summon, and so you can play Lava Golem or Sphere Mode, but for some reason you don't main deck it. You might have it as a side deck, or you don't even have it at all. It's like, that's even more weirder. You think you would have it, especially when you're playing an engine, which means you're only going to use 1 or 2 cards to play your deck. That means the rest of your hand can be anything. Hand traps, board breaking cards. So you know what I mean. So why not start off game 1 with a couple cards in your deck that are floodgates and board breaking cards, that kind of stuff, and see what happens, and test the waters, they say, and figure out what works, what doesn't work. And then game 2, that's where you do the side and that one and whatnot. Just something to point out, something that I noticed. Now, I don't side deck, so I got a main deck, everything. So essentially my main deck and my extra deck is my side deck, as it were. That's why my side deck, I treat it more like my extra deck more like a side deck, where the cards in my extra deck are like tech cards. They're for specific things. Like I have a Nightmare Phoenix because it will help me pop some back row, instead of me main decking like some MSTs or Runic Destruction or something. I can just instead use Nightmare Phoenix. It requires more steps, a little more effort, but it's an option, right? But it's not that good if the card I'm dealing with is Skill Drain. Then that's where like something like Runic's Destruction will come into play. Runic's Destruction is good because you'll mainly try to use it as an extender or starter, right? Mainly as an extender, but you get the idea, because you'll use it to technically instant fusion, right? You use it to get an extra body on board. But there's the times where like, oh, there's a skill drain, let me get rid of it. right? So that's definitely something you should definitely consider main decking because of the fact that it acts as an extender, but it also can help you deal with any back row in case you go up against a deck that has back row. And it comes in handy because sometimes you can use it to pop somebody's Tenki in case they're trying to use Tenki to search something. If they're playing like Fire Kings or something, boom, technically acts like a negate, right? So it's an interrupt in a certain way. Plus, it's a quick play, so it you can be creative with it. But again, it could be back row hate, but it could also be a way to combo with. So more reasons to use it. Definitely should at least have it in your side if you're not main decking, but it's definitely a main deckable card because it has a lot of uses. Very versatile. And many other things. But again, Kaiju's, Lava Golem, Spear Mode, blah, blah, let's go on. Like, I prefer Spear Mode over Evenly Match, but I am not against having either one of them. Sorry, or using either one of them, depending. But Spear Mode tends to be a better choice because in order to get the most out of Evenly Match, you're going to have to play like Droplets or something, which I don't. I don't play Droplets. So, and I just prefer a single card to help me out a board as opposed to comboing cards to out a board. I'd rather just Sphere Mode, boom. That should drastically reduce the strength of my opponent's board or completely break it. And sometimes you got to break their boards more than once. So Sphere Mode, right? And then like a Kaiju or something, or double Lava Golem, type of situations. I've had that scenario where I Lava Golem and my opponent rebuilt their board, because their cards float, and I was like, all right, Lava Golem again. Like, now your board has been defeated. I had to do it twice, but at least now it's, defeated. Now I just got to deal with the Lava Golems, right? So just pointing that out.